Now we have some breaking news coming from the United States. President Donald J. Trump has signed an executive order imposing an additional 25% tariff on Indian goods in response to the country's continued purchase of Russian oil and weapons. This comes as a statement from the White House. These came after a string of threats from the Trump administration. Earlier, India had said that it was committed to concluding a fair, balanced and mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement. Last year, the US had a trade deficit of $45.8 billion with India. We're now joined by two guests to discuss this breaking story now. We're joined by Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, who's a former diplomat, and we're also joined by Peter Cordello. He's a chief market economist at Sparta Capital Securities. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us on this discussion. Ambassador Dayal, I wanted to start with you. India has called this new tariff unjustified, yet Washington states Russian oil purchase as the main reason for this additional 25% tariff. What were your thoughts when this was announced, and how will this impact the Indian economy?
Well, I think it will impact the Indian economy quite adversely. As it is, the 25% tariffs which had been announced earlier were leading to a lot of anxiety. Indian stocks were in danger of falling. Jobs were in danger of getting lost because many firms which rely on exports were going to retrench workers. Now, this additional penalty which is being imposed by President Trump will certainly impact India adversely. And I think the need of the hour is for the two countries to undertake very serious diplomacy. It should be diplomacy which is a win-win in nature. In other words, both sides gain from the net outcome. The United States wants a trade deal, and I think we are in the process of negotiating one. There are some hurdles which have come up. I think it's very important to seriously make efforts to overcome these hurdles. And if there are some concessions which are possible and which don't impact either side very seriously, then we should make those concessions. Both sides should be very, very proactive in finding the solution, because, you know, the partnership is very important in nature. India and the United States have a strategic partnership. It's all-embracing. It covers many areas, and it's important to salvage that partnership. So in my view, the impact of the additional penalty which comes after the tariffs will be serious, and both sides should put their heads down to finding a solution, because nobody wants the Indian economy to be impacted. Nobody wants the bilateral ties to be impacted. And the only way out is to find the right solution.
Yes, thank you very much, Ambassador. I wanted to bring Peter in next. A $45.8 billion trade deficit is what India has with the United States. What would be a balanced, fair and mutually beneficial agreement here, considering India already faces a 25% tariff and now another additional 25% tariff? How is this going to affect the Indian economy, confidence in the stock market, etc.? Peter, what's your analysis of this?
Well, the initial reaction is obviously going to be negative, and market sentiment is going to be negative for the Indian stock market. But, you know, as your previous guest said, they need a solution, and they will come to the solution. And I think, you know, to correct that huge trade deficit is that India needs to begin to purchase oil from the United States. And I think that's the basis for Trump slapping on another 25 basis point, which brings it up to, what, 50%? That would be, you know, just detrimental to the Indian economy, and that would create massive amount of lost jobs and everything of that sort. So I think this, you know, action taken by President Trump suggests that the Indian government is going to have to, either through diplomacy or through direct negotiations between Trump and Modi, to come to a solution. And I think that's what will happen. Of course, the news is shocking and, like I said, going to be negative for the stock market and confidence. But I think all of that will return once there is a deal put in place that would be satisfactory both to the United States and to India. And I think the key here is to begin to purchase American oil.
Yes, Ambassador Dayal, as Peter said, the United States and Donald Trump in particular, of course, very much want India to stop buying Russian oil. Do you see that happening given the escalating pressure that the US is putting it under?
Well, the pressure is tactical because President Trump has a transactional approach and he's pressurizing India. And India has to be realistic because our overall interests involve a good relationship with the United States. And I think it's important that our Prime Minister and President Trump, who have a very good relationship, and they have both called each other very good friends of each other, they must undertake a dialogue and find a solution, because it's not difficult to reach a solution when you have the will. I think if, as the previous panelist pointed out, the United States wants India to purchase more oil, then certainly India should take a serious look at that, because India's energy requirements are massive. And we do import a lot of oil. We import from a whole host of countries. And there would be absolutely no harm in buying more oil from the United States, because it would be in line with our own domestic requirements also. The important thing is that the need of the hour is a positive approach, an approach that takes into account the need to find solutions and to avoid any escalation of the conflict.
Peter Cordello, I just wanted to come back to you on the final question on this topic. Tariffs now will hit Indian gems, pharmaceuticals, textiles and electronics, sectors that fed 2% of India's GDP demand last year. How long before US retailers pass that cost on to American consumers and blunt the FED's disinflation story?
It won't take long for those costs to be passed on. It's just a matter of time. So you might not see it quickly happening, but within the foreseeable future, which might be a month or two away, those costs will be passed on, and the consumer will bear that blunt of the tariffs.
Gentlemen, you are staying with us as we discuss further stories from the economic world. We now move on where Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to